Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the Credit You Deserve podcast. I'm your host, David Murphy, president of the Marshfield Medical Center Credit Union. And today I'm joined by a member of our marketing team, Brianna Butler, who's here to discuss with me our online banking transition, the new product that we launched here a couple months back, and just to go over some of the features, why we launched the new program, some of the challenges that we faced, and hopefully identify the highlights of why it's more beneficial for our members.
Yeah, glad to be here. I'm really excited about the new online banking and the app. I've had the chance to use both now, and I think it's something that hopefully members are really enjoying as much as I am.
Yeah, so before we made the transition, we didn't have anything. We had our online banking was mobile friendly, so it formatted properly for your phones, but we didn't actually have anything in our app store, which, so part of the reason that we made this decision was that we were fairly limited on some of the ancillary services that we could offer with the online banking. And so by having a true mobile app, it allowed us to implement some different features within the app, and it allows us to have more options going forward. And so that was a major driver in why we decided to make the transition.
Yeah, I think what's important to note too is the difference between online banking and the mobile app. I think that's something that gets confusing for people. So the online banking, you still go to the website on your computer, you log in with your username and password, and then you have access to your accounts and all the other features that we're going to talk about. But then the app is just like you would download any other app. It's a little square that shows up on your phone, and you can access it from anywhere.
Yeah, and it's important, you hear mobile and you think of obviously your cell phone, but the app is also available on your tablets. So if you have like an iPad or you have some type of a Samsung device or whatnot, anything that can access the Google Play Store and or the App Store on iOS, you can download the app onto, and so it gives you multiple options to be able to access your finances depending on where you're at.
Yeah, to find either of those downloads, people can just go right to the website. We have a page that's mmccu.com/online-banking, and from there, there's instructions on how to download the app as well as log into the online banking. And once you get into both platforms, all the features are available, all the same features, correct?
Correct, yeah. So you only have to download the one app, which was another benefit of this, because a couple that we looked at, you would have to download multiple pieces, and it just seemed a little cumbersome. But yeah, so you can either go to our website, as Brianna mentioned, or if you can go straight to those app stores, you just search for MMCCU, and it should show up as one of your top options there to be able to download the app, again, depending on whatever device you're on. But yeah, once you download the app, or if you get to our online banking login, so it's as Brianna mentioned, it's important to distinguish the difference, but one of the things to highlight for both of those is that they use the same credentials. So if you've used the online banking before, you don't have to set up completely separate credentials to get onto the mobile app, and vice versa. Each platform has the ability to enroll into the system if you've never used the system before. If you were a previous user of our old online banking, or you've used the new online banking before, then you don't have to re-enroll in the other platform, whatever you're using. It is seamless and works simultaneously with each other using the same credentials. But then you get out to the login page for either one, walk through the steps. If you're on the online banking, for example, through your desktop, it will verify your identity basically by using a multi-factor authentication code. So it's going to either ask to send you a code via text or email, or give you a phone call that will provide that code to you. If you're using the mobile app, then you just have to register that mobile app through the app process itself. But once you get in both those processes, then you'll get into the actual meat and potatoes of the online banking, where you can view your accounts, do transfers, set up your bill pays if you use that service. We've also added a couple other features. So specific to the mobile app is we added remote deposit capture, which you may know as the ability to take a picture of your check and deposit it right into your account. Right now we have that set up where you can do any checks up to $2,500 through that service. One of the caveats with that, and we've been working with our members just because it is a new process, is you do have to add what's called a restrictive endorsement on the back of the check for those types of deposits. And essentially what that is either you write underneath your signature, you just write for mobile deposit only, Or a lot of checks nowadays have a little checkbox that you can just check mark that says this item is for mobile deposit only. We do monitor and view every check that comes through, and we have been reaching out to members just to update them on that process to make sure that they are completing that properly going forward. But between both the mobile app platform and the online banking, two other services that we added right off the get-go was a personal finance manager. So what that allows you to do is it allows you to link any accounts that you have through other providers, whether it's other credit unions, other banks, maybe you have a credit card through one of the big carriers, whatnot. You can actually link those accounts directly through your MMCCU account through this personal finance manager, and then it allows you to view the transactions of all those different cards and different accounts so that you have a more aggregate look at your finances. So for some, they like to have access to all that data in one location, and it allows you then to track your spending, set budgets, make sure you're hitting financial goals that you've set for yourself. So it's a good way to just have a better insight as to where you're spending your money and earning your money on the flip side. And then the other feature that we added was a credit score monitoring service. So if you've got a credit card with any of the major providers, you may see on a monthly basis when you get your statement that they have a credit score tool on there, which basically just tracks your credit score. This is a little bit more enhanced in the sense of not only will it give you what your estimated credit score is, but then it'll also allow you to work up scenarios to try to figure out how you can build that credit score up higher. So like for example, if you are thinking that you're going to consolidate credit cards into one consolidation loan, what effect does that have on your credit? Or if you're going to pay off a vehicle loan, what's that going to have on you? The effect that's going to have on your credit. And so it allows you to have a better handle on not only where your credit score is today, but then also what you can do to make improvements to it. Because as we know, just in general society, I guess if you want to say it that way, is that having a better credit score it saves you money in the long run, because many institutions, including ours, you get a better rate if you have a higher credit score. So improving that credit score, taking the steps necessary to try to improve that can pay dividends down the road as well.
Yeah, you've described a lot of really great features, and when we first started launching this, one of the things you said was the cliche is to think of this as a branch on your phone, and that's great, but one thing you also added that I think is really important is even though members have all these features and can do all this stuff on their own now, which personally I think is awesome, you're always here to help. So even if it's something like, let's say that a member wants to improve their credit score and they're looking at the personal finance manager and they're like, well, I don't really know what to do. You're still there to walk them through the process and help them with their finances, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Our staff is still equipped to be able to have these conversations with any of our members. If you're struggling or you just have questions on little steps, big steps that you can take to make improvements there, we're more than happy to sit down, schedule an appointment, come in, bring whatever you would like. You know, we can take a look at whatever you've got, whether it's here at the credit union or not. We're more than happy to always have those conversations. As Brianna mentioned, this is just a tool that allows you to DIY it, essentially, if you are comfortable doing that or you just have a simple question. But yeah, anytime you are not understanding anything with that process, or even if you are looking at the tool yourself and you say, well, I don't quite understand what that means, our team is here to help explain that. Working with healthcare providers, we always put it this way. Our healthcare providers are the experts in health, and while we may have tools as patients with like WebMD and obviously Google and whatnot, I still would not trust myself to make a diagnosis on a illness or an ailment, right? I'd rather go to the professional. And it's the same thing with our healthcare providers. You guys are very knowledgeable when it comes to finances and whatnot, but there may still be questions you may have that you're going to say, okay, well, I'd rather talk to, like, hopefully you deem us as the experts in anything financially related, where you're coming to us saying, okay, well, this is my question on a mortgage loan, or this is my question on, what I've seen with my checking account, or whatever the case is. So we're still here. We're not, the concept or the idea of pushing this out wasn't to say, okay, well, here are the tools, figure it out on your own. It was just to be a supplement to the service that we've already provided.
Yeah, I think that's what's cool about credit unions in general. We always talk about the credit union difference, and you truly do care about each and every member that is here. You're a nonprofit. You're not like comparatively to a bank. I don't know if I can call them out, but you're not here to make a profit. You're here to actually help the people that are, have accounts with you. So I think by having this app and the online banking and still being here to answer questions and be of service, you really get the best of both worlds when you become a member here. So with that in mind, who can actually become a member here?
Yeah, so our credit union is open to anyone who works in healthcare throughout the state of Wisconsin, and their immediate family members and any members of their immediate household. So being in Marshfield, everyone associates us with the Marshfield Clinic, and I'm happy to say that we're happy to service those who work at the Marshfield Clinic, but we also are available to help anyone who works at, whether it's at a dental clinic or the chiropractor office or an optometrist or anything related to healthcare. We're able to help those individuals as well. So if you happen to stumble across our mobile app without being a member, please, and you like what you see, please feel free to reach out. We're more than happy to start that conversation with you on how to help you become a member here at the credit union, whether you live in Marshfield or not.
Yeah, so you serve the entire state of Wisconsin.
We do, yes. So we have members that actually, we've added some programs here over the last 12 months that have allowed us to expand outside just the central Wisconsin area. So that's been our charter for a number of years, so this isn't a change, just to emphasize that we've been open to the state for a while now, but we've made a conscious effort to market to those that are not necessarily just in the central Wisconsin area as well.
Great. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up anything security related, because that was the focus of our most recent podcast. With the app and online banking, I think something that people get nervous about is, well, all my financial information is out there on the internet. How do I know I'm not being scammed when I get this text message? Like, what security measures are in place to protect people's accounts? And I guess reiterate what and which forms you will contact a member related to their accounts.
Yeah, that's a good question. So the system has built in place several layers of security. First and foremost, the system itself is a secure connection. So while we don't host that necessarily on site here at the credit union, we have a secure connection built between our programs that we use on a daily basis and then ultimately through our third-party vendor who is operating our online banking as well. So they have security measures that are built in place to make sure that those connections are secure, that there isn't, the likelihood that a breach could happen is very minimal. Ultimately, we're comfortable knowing that they've put in the proper security measures on their end to make sure that they're protecting that member data when it's being communicated back and forth between our core system and their online banking platform and the mobile apps. As far as on the user standpoint, or from the user perspective, anytime that you access a new, so let's say you go to a parent's house and you log onto the online banking for the first time through their computer, you're going to get some type of an alert. It depends on what you've signed up for, but it may be via text message, email, or through the mobile app if you have it on your device, just saying, hey, it seems like you've registered a new device to your account. This is the date, this is the time. So it's not going to give you specifics. So it's not going to say, hey, I see you were at Fairfax, Virginia, here, there. It's just going to say, I see that a new device has been registered to your account. Same thing if someone makes an attempt on your account to log into your account. You're going to get either a message via text, email, or through your mobile app, or all three of them, because you can sign up for all those alerts. But you're going to get some type of a message that says an unsuccessful attempt's been made to access your account. At that point, you can make the decision, okay, well, that wasn't me, so I'm going to want to change my username, or I want to change my password in case someone did get access to that. Sometimes it's just if people have similar usernames, maybe it's just a slip of a finger. So it's not necessarily that someone's gotten a hold of all your credentials and that they're trying to get into your account fraudulently. It's not necessarily that. But if you have some concern, you have the ability to log in and change that information right there on the spot. If you're still concerned that, okay, well, I don't want to log in now and change that information, we can help you with that. There's a few extra steps that we have to take, but we can help you get that information changed over as well. We're communicating that out, so you asked the question, like, how are we going to reach out to you? It is a pretty standard text message or the message itself that's being received is pretty standard. So if you receive a message and it seems, there's some spelling errors in it, or it just doesn't sound correct, from a vernacular standpoint.
It sounds weird.
Yeah, if it just doesn't read right. If it doesn't sound right, give us a call. Let us know. We can actually check and see. Okay, yep, we show that an unsuccessful attempt was made to access your account at this date and this time. So we can drill down based on the user to verify or validate that yes, someone did unsuccessfully attempt to access your account. Again, we can't get the details to say, okay, well, it looks like it was someone in Germany or it was someone here. We can't get that detailed, but we can just say in general, yes, it looks like so-and-so made an attempt to get into your account. So we have the ability to track a lot of that information to be able to validate it here for you. But then there's a lot of information that goes between the system and you without us having to bridge that gap, so to speak. So we're not going to necessarily call you. And I think that's an important piece to point out, is that related to the online banking, as far as like logging in, changing your password, changing your username, anything like that, we're never going to call you on that. You do have the option, the only phone call option you have when it regards to the online banking is when you want to receive that verification code for the first time. There is the option to receive it via phone call. Otherwise, if someone's calling you and say, hey, I see that you've been locked out of your account, so let's try to work through this, I can't think of a situation in which we would be calling members saying, I see this from our perspective. So if you're getting calls with that, or, hey, I think you need to change your password, if you're not sure, hang up, call back the credit union is usually our first piece of advice, because in the off chance that there is a legitimate reason why we're contacting you, we would rather you hang up on us and give us a call back to verify that you're actually talking to the right people. Because this is how, unfortunately, these things happen, is you think that you're talking to someone from the credit union and ultimately ends up being someone else, and they somehow are able to manipulate well enough so that you're willing to give them whatever information. And I know we just did a podcast on that here a little while ago, just about protecting that information. But I think that that's important to point out as well with this new system, is that things really haven't changed from a communication standpoint, that you're not going to all of a sudden get bombarded with phone calls from us.
Right. So I think bottom line, there's a new app, check it out. Log into online banking. If you have any issues, reach out to the credit union and explore some of those new features like the credit score check and the ability to bring in outside accounts. If you're unsure about any security questions, also reach out. MMCCU is here to help. That's pretty much bottom line, right?
Yeah, I think that the decision behind going with this is, I talked about it a little bit on the beginning of the podcast episode here, but really it was the ability to not only enhance our digital offerings, because everything these days is going digital, even with healthcare, for example, with the implementation of like telehealth as an option. The embracing of technology has definitely increased over the last couple of years, especially the pandemic really expedited that as well. But it's just not only getting us to a place where we feel like we're offering a better digital experience, but it also allows us to be set up better for the future, so that if new vendors are available or new partnerships or integrations are available, that we're already in a position where, okay, we can more quickly implement those new integrations rather than if we were on our older system. So ultimately I know that change is hard, and a lot of people did like the old system, and truth be told, we like the old system as well from a usability standpoint. So the decision wasn't made to try to implement something that was more difficult to use or anything like that. It really was to try to better position the credit union to be able to embrace more digital functionality here going forward in the future. So yes, it's going to take a little bit of time for some of our members to understand some of the nuanced changes with the new system. I would encourage you to just log in. There really isn't much you can do to hurt your account if you just start playing around with it. But if you have a question on how to do some type of a transaction or whatever the case is, or where something's located, that's what we're here for. And those are the types of calls that we were fielding over the last couple of months here since we made the launch was just, okay, well, I don't see where this function is. Okay, well, let's help you get to that point or whatever the case is. So we're used to having those conversations. We're more than happy to have those conversations with you. We don't want you to feel like you've been alienated because of the switch to the new system. So we wanted to try to make it as seamless as possible, even though, as I mentioned before, change is hard, and we understood that going into this new rollout. So at any time, if you have any questions on anything, feel free to reach out to the credit union. If you have feedback, good or bad, we're open to feedback regardless. But we hope that you not only see, okay, well, the change is, in the long run is better for your ability to handle your finances, but also understand why we made the decision, as a smaller credit union to remain relevant here in the financial services space. So we appreciate our members' patience as we made the transition. And we hope that you see the value and the added functionality that's been provided with the new system. So again, if you have any questions, visit the website mmccu.com/online-banking or give us a call, and we're more than happy to set up a time to talk further with you on this. So thank you for your time, Brianna, this morning as we talked about this, and appreciate everyone's time listening to the podcast episode. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us. Thank you.